Hello, this is the second part of theodolite traversing. So in this part, we will be seeing what are the various coordinate systems which are employed in surveying. Just like we are having a coordinate like a point A is represented through its x coordinate and through y coordinate. In surveying, we can define two parameters or two distances which are very equivalent to or very similar to x and y, and they are called actually latitude and departure. These are also two distances or two parameters which can be used to define the position of a point on the surface of the earth. So let us see how we are going to define latitude and departure. So here in surveying, any point on the surface of Earth, you are usually referred with respect to geographic north. So we can say latitude is the distance measured parallel to the magnetic meridian, or which is commonly taken as the north direction or north-south line, isn't it? We say that a freely suspended magnet will be directing itself, that will be oriented in the north-south direction. So, in surveying, we can say this is the north direction. So, we can say this will be the east, this will be south, and this is the west direction. So, any position which is measured in the north-south or parallel to the north-south direction can be considered, or length measured parallel to north-south direction can be considered as latitude. So it's very similar to the y direction, right? Our north-south line is very similar to y-axis. So we can think that it is latitude is maybe similar to y-axis. So in that 2D concept, we have positive y direction and negative y direction. So equivalently here we can have north direction as positive and south direction as negative. So if the position that you have measured is towards the north direction, then that can be called northing. If the position that you are measuring to a point is towards the south direction, then that can be called southing. Okay, so we can say northing is positive and southing is negative. So let us see the definition for latitude. Coordinate length measured parallel to the magnetic north or magnetic meridian is called the latitude. Northing or positive latitude. What is that? If the distance measured is towards the northward direction, then it is called a northing or positive latitude. If the measured distance is towards the southward direction, then that is called a southing or negative latitude. Now let us see what is departure. So departure is the length which is measured perpendicular to the meridian direction. So north-south is considered as the meridian direction. So any direction which is perpendicular to north-south line, that will be definitely east-west direction, right? So that any length which is measured parallel to east-west direction. So we can define in that way also. So any distance or any length measured at right angles to the meridian direction can be called departure. So here we are telling that position of the point is departing from the north-south direction or north-south line. So how far is that departure? How far is the deviation, or how far is the difference from separation from north-south line? that will be measured in this particular direction, which is the east-west direction. So we can say this is very similar to our x-axis, right? So we have a positive direction over here and negative direction here. So we can tell that a distance measured towards the eastward direction can be called easting. Easting is positive. Any distance measured towards negative direction is called westing. Westing is negative. So this is the concept of latitude and departure. So on the geographical surface, we can define any point, say A. So what is the distance which is measured parallel to the north-south direction? This length will be called latitude. What is the distance measured of the direction? That can be called a departure. So this height will be latitude and this distance will be departure for the point A. So again you can see here. So how mathematically we can find out latitude and departure. So we have a position A and there is another position B. So we want to find out what is the latitude of this line AB. So we can say that latitude of a line is the measurement along or parallel to north-south direction. So this is the north-south line, isn't it? This is the north-south line. So this measurement which is parallel to north-south line. So this distance that can be called a latitude. So if you know this bearing, what is bearing? Bearing is the angle measured from north direction. So if you know this angle alpha, which is called the bearing of the line AB, then what will be this component? Suppose L is the length. So I'll change this position. This terminology I'll change. L is the length of the line AB and alpha is the bearing. Then we know what will be this vertical component, isn't it? That component will be L cos alpha. That is latitude. So latitude, if you are given the bearing, then latitude can be defined as L cos alpha. Right? Now what about departure? Departure is the distance measured parallel to the east-west direction. Right? This is the east and this is the west direction. So what is the component of this length L in the east-west direction? That is called departure. So you can get departure by L sine alpha. So these are the two major equations we have to use to find out latitude or departure of a line of length L and bearing angle alpha. Right? So this is the way how to calculate latitude and departure. So here I have given different lines. For example, this point, this is O and this is A. Okay. So what is the latitude of the line OA? How can you get it? Latitude of OA is equal to the length of the line, let it be OA, and suppose this angle is alpha 1, then latitude will be OA cos alpha 1. Departure of line OA, that will be equal to length of line OA sine alpha 1. So when proper signs. Okay. So here you can see that OA cos alpha is towards from O to A, you have to move towards northern direction. That means this is positive. From O to A along the east-west line, you have to move towards east. So that is easting. So that is also again positive. So here in this case, both latitude and departure are positive. So this is first quadrant, right? So for first quadrant, you have positive latitude and positive departure. Now let us move on to the next case. This is line, say, OB. Okay. Bearing of this line OB is alpha 2. Okay. I have measured this angle with respect to north to south line. So that is why this is angle alpha 2. So what will be the latitude of line OB? So that is nothing but what is the projection of line OB on the north to south direction. So this length will be the latitude. So how to calculate that? Latitude of OB is equal to length of OB into cos alpha 2, right? But you see, from O to B, you have to move towards south. So component of OB will be towards south direction, south axis. That means it will be negative. Southing is negative. Then departure of line OB, how to calculate it? What is departure? Departure is the projection of this line OB along the east-west direction. So this length will be the departure, or we can say this length will be the departure. Right. So how to get that component? That will be OB sine alpha 2. Okay. So you see that from O to B, it is towards the easting direction. So that means it is positive. So this is the position of quadrant 2. So in the case of quadrant 2, we have negative latitude and positive departure. Now, suppose this is line OC and this angle, bearing of line OC is alpha 3. So we can say latitude of OC is equal to the length OC cos alpha 3, right? As it is towards south direction, this will be negative. Departure of line OC is equal to OC sine alpha 3. OC sine alpha 3 is towards west. This component is towards west. Right. So that is negative. So this line OC is actually lying in the third quadrant. So what you can tell is, for third quadrant, you have both latitude and departure negative. Right. Now let us move to the fourth quadrant. We have a line OD in the fourth quadrant. So if you are finding the latitude of that line OD, so this will be the length, right? So this length is on the positive north direction or north direction. So we have to show the angle. That bearing of the line is alpha 4. So what to do? Your latitude is equal to OD cos alpha 4, and that is towards north. Departure of OD is equal to OD sine alpha 4. So the departure will be towards west. So that will be negative. So in the case of fourth quadrant, you have latitude positive, departure negative. So this is the way how we can calculate latitude and departure, both the magnitude and direction. So shall we calculate this answer? Suppose we have a line OA, which is in the first quadrant. The bearing of the line OA is say 30 degree. The length of the line is 245 meter. So what is the latitude of OA? Similarly, what is the departure of line OA? You try to find out. So latitude of OA is equal to 245 cos 30 degree. Isn't it? So you have to ensure that the angle which is given to you should be the bearing. It should be the angle from north to south direction. Otherwise it will be wrong. Now departure of OA is equal to 245 sine 30. Okay. Will be the coordinate of that B. as the latitude and departure of line AB. Okay. So this is a problem for you to work out. So we are given a set of traverse data. So you see there are a line. So there are different lines AB, BC, CD, DE. So once going through these names of the lines, it can be understood that line starts with A, the survey starts with A and ends at E, some other point. So definitely it is an open traverse. Now for each line you are given the length. For each line you are given the bearing. That is bearing from the north, whole circle bearing. So can you find out what is the latitude of line AB, departure of line AB, like that? Yes. So latitude of line AB, that will be equal to positive or negative, that you have to think first. So this is positive 232 cos 32 degree 12 minutes. Then departure is also positive 232 sine 32 degree 12 minutes, like that. So you try it out. What are the latitudes and departure of all the lines DC, CD, DE, etc. Okay. Now we move on to the next coordinate system, which is called a total coordinates or independent coordinate system. So let's move to the previous example of various districts in Kerala state. So we position the Malappuram with respect to Thrissur. We have positioned Thrissur with respect to Ernakulam, like that. But instead, if you want to have a total coordinate from a common origin, maybe Trivandrum is taken as the origin for the Kerala state. With respect to that origin, where is Alappuzha? With respect to that origin, what is the total coordinates to Ernakulam? What is the total coordinates to Thrissur? With respect to Trivandrum, what is the total coordinates to Malappuram? Like that. If you want to find out the coordinates like that, then that is called a total coordinates or independent coordinate. Because your position of Ernakulam is not depending upon the position of Alappuzha. Position of Malappuram is not dependent on position of Thrissur. It all depends on, all the coordinates are equally depending on one common origin. So that is the speciality of independent coordinates or total coordinates. So let us see, coordinates of traverse calculated with respect to a common origin can be called a total coordinates. So how to get that value? So that can be calculated. So total latitude or departure of any point with respect to a common origin is called total coordinates or independent coordinates of that point. So our idea is we have to have a common origin which is equally accessible to all the points which are over here, right? So usually what we do, we'll take the station point which is onto the most western side, because we always love to have positive values, right? We always love to have positive values, positive latitude, positive departure. So it is always advisable. It's not a rule, but it is advisable that to select the station which is the position which is on the most western side, so that all the latitudes and all the departures will be positive only. But it is not mandatory. You can have your origin somewhere over here also. So some of the points will be on the western side, some of the points may be on the southern side, some may be positive on, like that. So anyway, to get your total or independent coordinates, you have to algebraically add the latitudes and departures of the lines between the particular point and the origin. For example, To get the total coordinate of your plot or the various positions in the plot, what you have to do? So here there may be a point. This is O, this is B. We have a position C like that. So this is your origin. You find out what is the latitude and departure of A. Then you find out what is the latitude and departure of B. So total coordinate of B can be the sum of coordinate of this origin position plus the coordinate latitude or departure of line OA plus latitude and departure of line AB. That will be the total coordinate value. Similarly, total coordinate of C, that can be obtained from algebraically adding the coordinate value of the origin position and latitude or departures of all the lines which are in between the origin and this point C. So we have the lines OA, AB, BC. So you find out what are the latitude of OA, latitude of AB, latitude of BC. Algebraically add them. Along with that, you add the latitude of this point which is given, origin point. So that will give you total coordinate latitude for C. How to get total departure for C? So you have to algebraically add the departures of the lines. So what are those lines? OA, AB, BC. That will give you total departure of point C. Equation. How to get the total latitude of a point? Total latitude of first point plus algebraic sum of all the latitudes in between. Right. Calculate total latitudes and total departures. So you try out for the remaining positions also. Check your answer with this table. Okay. Now we are moving on to a term called a closing error. Right? So we know that there are two kinds of traverses, open traverse and closed traverse. So for open traverse, we start at one location and end at another station. Right. Whereas in closed traverse, we start at one position, do complete all the surveys, and finally we end up at the same position. That is called the closed traverse. We have a circuitous path followed in our survey. So this closing error is related to closed traverses. Sometimes we may starting at one position. This is a particular boundary we want to measure. So we start at one position A, then move to another point B, then to C, then maybe to D, then E, then we move to F. But instead of getting to A, we may be having A here, A dash. We may be having a plot like this due to some error. So this A dash has to actually be on here, at A. But we are not having a closing of the diagram. So that is called a closing error. So the end point of the traverse may not coincide exactly with the starting point. Thereby, there is an error which is left with, and that error is called a closing error. Okay. So it is very easy to identify closing error in a closed traverse. So you can see over here, we have a traverse A to B, C, D, E. And it should be closing to A, but instead we are having another direction which is A dash. So this portion, that is called a closing error. So what is the length? What is that gap? What is that error of closing? That length, magnitude is represented here as E. That is the distance by which the error occurred. And the direction in which that error is occurring, that can be measured through bearing of that line error, closing error. That is theta. Okay. So that means we have to make some corrections. We have to make some adjustment in your readings, in your observation, so that you will be getting a closed traverse. Okay. So our idea is to minimize the value of E, or to make A dash very close to A. So for that we have to know what is the magnitude of that error and what is the direction of that error theta. So how to check for this closing error? That is the question. How to identify whether there is a closing error existing or not. So there is a check for closing error, very simple check. In a closed traverse, algebraic sum of latitudes should be 0. Similarly, algebraic sum of departures should be 0. That is, you start at one position, move to some other station, then next another station, like that. And finally, you have to close at the starting station. If it is exactly closing, if your surveying is pakka, then we can say that you calculate the latitudes of each and every line segments and add it up algebraically. Similarly, you find out sum of all the departures. So these two components, total latitude and total departures of all the lines in the traverse, should sum up to 0. Then that means there is no closing error. Instead, if you are getting some value, say some delta error, then we have to make corrections for that. So here you can see that closing error. I have shown another picture over here. So this portion is actually enlarged, and this is enlarged and shown over here. So this is our error line. Its length is E, its direction is theta. So if you find out latitude of line AB, latitude of line BC, latitude of CD, latitude of DE, and latitude of EA dash, if you add it up, that is called a sigma latitude. All the latitudes are added up. It has to become 0 if your A dash is close to or coinciding with A. Otherwise, you will be having a value delta L. Similarly, you can calculate what is the departure of line AB, departure of line BC, departure of line CD, departure of line DE, departure of line EA dash. So what all survey lines we have, you can add all the departures together and get sigma departure. If that becomes 0, then there is no error in that direction, right? So this is called the component, the latitude, vertical component of this error term will be sigma L. The horizontal component of the error term will be sigma D. So what will be your error then? You calculated total latitude and total departure. Now can you find out what is your closing error? Yes, your closing error will be square root of sigma L square plus sigma D square. Isn't it? Because E is the hypotenuse side of this right angle triangle. Suppose we have this A dash P. So this A dash P is a right angle triangle. So in that case, your hypotenuse side will be equal to sum of altitude, square of the altitude portion and the base portion, right? So this is nothing but your Pythagoras theorem, and you can calculate the value of E. Then you can get the tan theta. Tan theta will be opposite side by adjacent side. So opposite side is nothing but sigma D, adjacent side is nothing but sigma L. So direction of your error can be found out, the magnitude of the error can be found out once you calculate sigma L and sigma D. Now we have a term called relative error of closure. Relative error of closure. So it is actually closing error per perimeter of the traverse. Okay. Suppose you are given two sites, two locations for conducting closed survey, closed traverse. One site is a smaller one and another site is a bigger one. Okay. So you have conducted the survey and you told your client that I have conducted the survey. The closing error for this site is only 5 centimeter. For this plot also, the closing error is only 5 centimeter. So you are claiming that you have done it very nicely, very perfectly with a small error of 5 centimeter. But you see, the size of the perimeter of the plot are different for the two cases. But still you have the same closing error, 5 centimeter. Does the importance of this closing error in these two cases are the same? No. In the first case, you have only a small plot, but still you had a 5 centimeter error. In the second case, you had surveyed a larger plot and you had only 5 centimeter error. So this just telling the value of closing error is not sufficient when we are comparing different plots, right? So that is why we are introducing to understand what is the size of the given plot with respect to what size of the plot you are telling this error. That have to be identified. For that only, you are telling that closing error per perimeter of traverse will be a better parameter to represent the accuracy of your work. So here in this case, maybe the perimeter may be say 20 meter, whereas in this case it may be 200 meter. So here your closing relative error of closure will be 5 centimeter by 20 meter. So I am converting that to centimeter, 2000 centimeter. So 5 by 2000, that will be the closing error. Relative error of closure. In this case, for the second site, what will be that? 5 centimeter by 200 meter, 200 in 200 centimeters. So that is 5 divided by 20,000. Out of 20,000 length, you had only 5 unit mistake. Here out of 2000 meter length, centimeter length, you had 5 centimeter error. So this error is more in the case of plot 1. Right. So your relative error will be a better parameter to give you an idea of accuracy of your work. So if you find that in your data you have some error, closing error, then we have to do some adjustments. We have to make that compensate for that error. So how to do that? That is mentioned here in the post processing of the traverse data. Okay. So before calculating the latitude and departure, you have to adjust your observation. So just think about what were the different methods that you used to observe your traverse, to measure your traverse. You have learned that your traversing can be done either by angle method or by bearing method. Do you remember that? So either you may be collecting the angles between different survey lines, or you may be observing bearings of each and every survey line. These are the two ways by which we do the traversing. So depending upon which method you have adopted to conduct the traverse survey, you have to do the post processing. Okay. So once you have collected the data from the field, you might be collected the angles or you might be collected the bearings. Then so before calculating the latitude and departure, you have to adjust. You have to go for corrections in traverse angles or bearings as the case may be. And that is to be done to satisfy the geometric conditions, because in a closed traverse you will be having a polygon shape, right? So you have to ensure whether the angles or bearings you have collected are ensuring the proper shape. So these are the two things we have to done. We have to do adjustment of angular error or adjustment of bearings. Okay. So that is the first part we have to do. Once you have completed your data collection, you check whether there is an error by calculating sigma L and sigma T. And if you identify that there is an error, then you have to make corrections in your observation angles or observation bearings. Okay. So once that part is, suppose you have finished with all the corrections of angles or all the corrections of bearing, then you again find out what is the latitude and departure. And still there is some closing problem. Then you have to balance your traverse work. That will be seen later. So prior to that, let us see how to make the adjustment of angles, how to do the angular correction. So that we are doing with a simple principle that we have learned in our school days. That is, for any polygon of n sides, a polygon of n sides, if you are calculating the interior angles, all the interior angles for any polygon of n sides, then sum of all these interior angles should be equal to 2n minus 4 into 90 degree. This is a very simple principle that we know. So this will ensure the geometric shape. Right. Suppose we have a rectangular float. That means n equal to 4. All these angles are 90 degree for rectangle, right? So 2 into 4 minus 4 into 90 degree. That means what? 2 into 4, 8 minus 4, 4 into 90 degree. That is 360 degree. That is equal to total included angle. So 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 90. That is 360. So for a four-sided polygon, you should have sum of the angles as 360 degree. If it is a three-sided polygon, it should be 180 degree, like that. So once you have completed your field work, you can find out what are the interior angles between each and every survey lines. Sum it up. You check whether the sum of the included angles is equal to 2n minus 4 into 90 degree. If it is equal, then there is no need of further angular correction. Otherwise, suppose there is some discrepancy. If you had a four-sided polygon and you calculated this value and you got that from the field work data, your sum of included angle is 362 degree. Instead of 360 degree, you got 362 degree. That means 2 degrees more than what we expected. So there is an error of 2 degree. That 2 degree has to be reduced. So that error has to be equally distributed to or properly distributed to all the included angles. Right. So we have to subtract this particular error. Instead, suppose in the four-sided polygon, you got an angle of 358 degree. Your sum is becoming 358 degree instead of 360 degree. Then it is short of 2 degree, right? So you have to make a positive correction in all the included angles so that your sum becomes 360 degree. So that is how the adjustment have to be done for angles. Now let us see how to do the adjustment for bearing. Suppose you have taken your data using bearing method. For each and every survey line, you find out what is the bearing from the north direction. So how to make the identify whether there is any problem with the bearing? That can be identified with again a simple principle that for a line, say A to B, the forebearing of the line AB, if it is theta, then back bearing of the line BA or back bearing of the line AB should be equal to 180 plus theta, or it may be 180 minus theta, like that. So for a line, forebearing and back bearing should differ by 180 degree. That is a principle that we have learned in compo survey. So in bearings, we have to use this principle. You find that in your traverse for any line, the difference between forbearing and back bearing is not coming to 180 degree. Instead, it comes to say 182 degree. Then that means what? There is an error of 2 degree. You have to reduce that particular error. You have to correct that. Sometimes it might be getting 178 degree instead of 180. That means there is a shortage of 2 degree. So there is minus 2 degree error. So that have to be corrected. You have to adjust the bearings by adding a correction. Right. So how to find out that correction? That is done. That is described over here. If you find that there is some error in your bearings, then that error can be distributed as follows. How? If you have this kind of lines, multiple lines, a polygon like this, so this may be your starting line AB. Then your first line can be adjusted with E by N, with a value E by N. So bearing of the first line can be adjusted with the E by N. What is E? E is the error. What is N? It is the number of sides. In the polygon, suppose you have N numbered sides. Then error by N. That will be the adjustment to be given for first line. For the second line, the adjustment have to be twice E by N. For the third line, your adjustment have to be 3 times E by N. Fourth line, 4 times E by N. Like that, for the last line, you have to make an adjustment of N times E by N. That is nothing but E. Right. This is how we adjust the bearings. Session, we have seen what is latitude and departure. How to calculate latitude and departure if you are given the length of a line and the bearing. Then what is meant by consecutive or dependent coordinates, and what is total coordinate or independent coordinate. Then we have learned how to find out closing error. That is sigma L should be 0, sigma D should be 0 for a closed traverse. If it is not 0, that means there is a closing error. So we know how to calculate the magnitude of closing error, right? Also how to find out direction of closing error. Once we identified the presence of closing error, we have to make adjustments. We have to make corrections in our observations. Your observations may be either angles or it may be bearings. If it is angle, you have to check for the geometrical shape. If it is bearings, you have to check for the difference between forbearing and back bearing as 180 degree. Then we have learned how to distribute that error also. So with this session is winding up. Thank you.